Hello again, and today we are going to do a quick overview of bacterial cells, the general structure and function, so that we can continue on with the genetics and how they replicate their DNA and transfer DNA between each other. So if we start real quick, we'll look at some of the structures that we already know about. So if you look over here on the right, so they all have a cell membrane, so a thin sheet of lipid and protein that surrounds the cytoplasm and controls the flow of materials in and out of the cell. So we're very familiar with that. They also have ribosomes for protein synthesis. They're different than the ribosomes, slightly different than the ribosomes that we've seen in the eukaryotic cells, but they are still there. Now, some a bacteria will have a cell wall, so a semi-rigid casing that provides structural support and shape for that. And you may hear the terms gram-negative and gram-positive in terms of bacteria, and that has to do with the structure of the cell wall. One of the main components of cell walls in bacteria is a compound called peptidoglycan, which is different than the cellulose found in the cell walls of plants and the chitin that will be found in the cell walls of fungi. But the peptidoglycan absorbs the stain, so many cells that are bacteria that are gram-positive will have peptidoglycan as a component of their cell wall. Down at the bottom here, if we look, many will have flagellum, so that's specialized for movement and allows them to move away from stimuli and be motile. Pilus is one that we'll talk about when we talk about conjugation, so many of them will use that. It's a hollow appendage used to transfer DNA from bacteria to bacteria. The chromosome that we'll talk about in depth in the next version is a circular strand, so it's not individual chromosomes like we saw in eukaryotic cells, and there's no nucleus, so it's found in the nucleoid region. And again, many of these you've probably heard about. Surrounding many, but not all, is the glycocalyx, or you most probably will hear it termed the capsule. And the capsule is a sticky layer of polysaccharides or proteins that can help adhere to other cells, and it can also help them evade the cell defenses, so it offers some protection against the body's immune system. And as I said, usually you'll hear that referred to as the capsule. And then finally, one that you may not have heard before is the fimbriae, and these are fine hair-like bristles that help cells adhere to other cells or to other substrates, and so they can kind of help them stick together and go through. So again, this is a quick review, and I think you will recognize most of the structures that we've talked about, along with a couple others, and as we go through into the next couple units, you will see that this is going to be helpful information.